Now, I hate to have to be the one to break this to some of you, but contrary to what your wives, your girlfriends, and in some cases even your therapists have been telling you over the years, size does matter. Now, for those of you that haven't run out of the room crying, I'm going to do a little size comparison here of the G42. Since I posted my video that I purchased this yesterday, a lot of people have contacted me and said, how big is it? A lot of the pictures online make it look like it's not very small. So how big is it when you actually compare it to other guns? Now, some of the guns that people ask me to compare it to, I don't own. I don't own a Car PM9 anymore. I sold it a long time ago. But I do have some guns that I think most people can use as a reference point, and I'll show you here how they compare size-wise. Now, I know in a lot of the pictures it makes the G42 look like it's not much smaller than the G26 or the G33 in this case, but that is not true. It is much smaller. As you can see here, it is way tinier than the G26 or, like I said, G33 in this case. When you look at it from behind, you can really see the difference. The G26, or like I said, G33, is much bigger, much bigger, much thicker. It's even taller. It's just an overall bigger gun. This gun right here is about twice the size of the G42. The G26, G33, G27 are easily feel like twice this gun. And they're much heavier. Of course, they hold more rounds, everything like that, but size-wise, they're much larger. Now, one thing a lot of people, myself included, have complained about the G42 is that it's big for a 380. But let's compare it to one of the most classic 380s and my favorite 380, the Walther PPK. As you can see, they're almost identical in size, about the same lengths, same thicknesses, just very, very close to being the same size gun. Now, the Walther PPK is heavier because it's stainless steel. Now, when you look at it from behind, you can see that the PPK is actually even thicker. Now, this PPK has the wooden grips, which makes it a little thicker than if it had the plastic grips. But even with the plastic grips, this PPK would be a little thicker than the G42. So as far as being huge for a 380, it's actually smaller than what we would consider probably to be the most classic 380, which is the PPK. So it is still smaller than a lot of 380s out there on the market, and it's much, much lighter. This is much heavier. It's like 2 of these weight-wise. So if you're going to stick it in a pocket, being the same sizes, this would be much better for pocket carry because it's thinner and it's lighter. Now, where it starts to look big is when you compare it to some of the really small 380s like the LCP or the P238. I don't have an LCP, but here is a P238. As you can see, it's much smaller than the Glock. It's shorter. It's about the same thickness, but it's much, much shorter. And it's not only shorter lengthwise, it's shorter height-wise as well. So it's a much smaller gun. Now, this one is the all stainless steel model, so it's 1.5 of this gun weight-wise. If you have the regular model, it's still heavier than the Glock. And it is smaller, but it's single action, and this is a regular Glock action. So this one has to have a manual safety, but that's not anything to do with size. So let's stick to size here. The one advantage that this gun has over being a little bigger than the P238 is it's more comfortable to hold. As far as grip goes, it's much more comfortable, but as you can see, size-wise, it's still bigger. But it is actually lighter. Now, one quick last comparison I want to do is compare one of my favorite small guns, and probably my favorite small carry gun, the J-frame, to the Glock 42. Now, as you can see, the Glock 42 is, of course, thinner because the J-frame has the cylinder. But if you know how to carry a revolver, you're going to know that cylinder doesn't really make much difference in the overall carry. But lengthwise, they're about the same. The slide is longer on the G42 than the top strap of the J-frame, but the grip kicks back on the J-frame, which makes the gun about the same length overall if you measured the longest points of both guns. Now, if you look at them from behind, you can see the J-frame is taller, has a longer grip frame on it. It's just bigger as far as the grip goes. But that does make it much more comfortable to hold. I would rather hold this gun at the range any day than this gun. But, still, not huge differences, but a difference. And if you know how to carry a revolver, like I said, the way the grip is shaped makes it easy to carry, but it's still bigger. Now, as far as weight goes, these two are about the same. They're very similar in weight. But as far as sticking it in a pocket, if you're not carrying it outside waistband, I still think this would be better because it's thinner, about the same weight. This would be a little more bulky in a pocket, but if you're carrying them outside waistband, the differences in the shape of this gun make it carry just as easy as this gun. So there you go, a quick size comparison of the G42 with some more common guns that people can probably use as a reference. Now, I'm not trying to imply in this video that this gun is better or worse than any of those guns. This isn't about performance, it's just about size. Now, I would much prefer the Walther PPK, the SIG P238, and of course the J-frame over this gun any day of the week if I could carry any of those guns. I just wanted to let you know how they stack up to each other as far as, possible ease of carry due to their size and weight. So even though I would prefer many of those other guns over this gun, I can see why some people would prefer this gun. And it does seem like it's got some potential, even though it is a little big for a 380. Now we'll just have to wait and see if this gun turns out to be a good gun as people start to use it.